use a stick to hold this tree up. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. I got this tree, this California Juniper, last week at the Mammoth auction. It's a tree supposedly to have started by Kathy Shaner, who was a very well-known bonsai artist. And you can see what she did is that she, I think is somewhat conservative, tried to hover this tree over the pot, lower the pot, it's kind of a cascade. I think this tree has very, very good potential. I'd actually like to think it'll be a lot spectacular if I try to show off a little bit more of the top rather than have this part hidden under the pot. So I'll take it out of the pot and tilt it. And she, in the meantime, has good wires, copper wires, to tie this tree down so it doesn't flop out of the pot. So I will get it out of the pot and try to reposition it and redo it, the whole thing. The tree has been neglected for many years. There's a lot of weeds. And for example, these are very difficult weeds to get rid of. And what you have to do is to be very vigilant and diligent to get rid of them. This is tied down everywhere so that the tree can stay put without flopping over, which I would try to put in a more stable position. So I'm cutting off as much of the wire as I can and then try to get it out of the pot. So for example, these are the Irish moss. They tend to spread very quickly by spreading by runners and also by seeds. And then these are the, I think, clover family or whatever it is. But they have very deep roots. And if you don't get rid of the roots from the bottom, in a sense, keeping some of the roots below, it will shoot out again and again. You can never get rid of it. So today, what I'll do, if possible, although I'm not hopeful that I'll be able to get rid of most of the soil, because this looks like it's planted in a traditional way in akadama, which when the roots eventually grow into the pot, it becomes a rock solid. It's a piece of like a rock. The roots really go into the akadama, which is good news, and it's a bad news that it's impossible to change the get rid of the soil for your repotting. So there's a lot of work ahead of us. I'm not going to do all the detail work in front of the camera, but rather do the essential design, which you can learn. But I'll do the cleanup later. Use a nozzle with a water jet nozzle hose to wash off the soil. And not too much of it so that I don't kill the tree instead. So with that in mind, then let me try to tilt it over and see if I can get it out of the pot. Well, there's a black widow spider. This is actually not a very good pot because there's not a label on it, so it's a production pot. That's how you tell from in Japan, the Japanese pots, or the Chinese pots for that matter. So with that in mind, then I can probably get this tree out of the pot. But again, I'm not hopeful I can remove the soil much. There you go. Oh, not too bad. You can see down there is a lot of pumice and so forth. So that's good. I think she had a good system, but that need to be reworked. I think she did not use akadama per se, so that makes it easier to remove. So this is good. I'm very happy. You can see the healthy roots. So I think this tree would be fine. I just had to put it in my standard potting soil and it would take off. So let's study this tree to see what I can do with it. So for example, just looking at this, if I plant it this way, right, you can see how wonderful I can accentuate this flow. It's looked like a calligraphy brush, painting brush, like this. A very free flow, artistic design of this tree. So I think this is the kind of the direction I would like to go. And I think what I'll do is I plant it this way, and then gradually work on this side to change it. One thing good about California Juniper is that they're very supple. You can twist it so long as you don't break the bark on one side, the branch will survive. So I think this can be really a wonderful thing. Just imagine I have a brush, a painting brush, and just go like this, you know, really free flow. I think this is gonna be a really, really artistic tree. With that in mind, then I will get to work. Again, I'm gonna stretch this out over time so I don't break the tree, and I also can pay attention to the design itself. Now I gotta remove a lot of the weeds, what is out of the pot. I can get down to get the roots out. You see, otherwise it's really hard to get to the roots when it's in the pot because they are quite far down. And I have to be careful not to break off the juniper roots as much as I can. Maybe I'm not gonna try to remove all the weeds all at one time, but as much as I can so that over time I can remove them so I don't kill, destroy any of the roots, as little of the roots as possible to keep the tree alive. It's a valuable tree. Talking about age, I don't think it's very polite to talk about a lady's age, and it's not very polite to talk about the age of a tree, but what you can see is that the rings, so to speak, the layers, are really like 0.2 of a millimeter, and which works out to about 100 years an inch. That's how slow it grows. The way that this tree comes about is that a giant California juniper, one of the branches touched the ground and it rooted in the ground, and then it grow, and then that's the tree. And then it's weathered by age, by turning due to the snow or weather or the harsh weather. And so that's how these trunks are developed. There's also somewhat of a natural inclination to twist. And so that's how it grows. And so this tree is probably well over 100 years old, grow from the side of a big giant juniper. And that's how it works. So I'm not exaggerating to say this tree is at least 100 years old. I have to be a little careful not to overemphasize age, but emphasizing the design instead. I mean, the whole objective is that when you do a bonsai, you try to make a young tree look like an old tree as your technique in bonsai. So I won't emphasize too much of the age, but still it's fun to talk about, especially when we are kind of trying to learn from each other. So you can see I'm trying to remove as much of the roots as possible when I have it out of the pot, so that when I put it inside the pot, there may be a few weeds remaining, and I can deal with them by focusing on removing the few that's left. But you gotta remove all of the Irish moss because they tend to spread quite vigorously. Not what you want in a bonsai pot, maybe okay in your lawn, but not, or in a confined area, but not in a bonsai pot, I don't think. It will be kind of like distracting as they form clumps. This is going to be nice. It's got a lot of good root system. And I think actually most of the weeds are gone now because the soil mix that she uses is really very, very good. I compliment her for her knowledge. So let's say if I have this tree now, and I'll clean that up. Now if I plant it this way, you can see this is going up, and then this tree actually will be relatively stable because it's it's being held down like this. And then I think I'll turn it so that it's more towards the side, right? So in fact, I may do this, and then I try to pull this up gradually over time. Okay, that's what I'll do to plant it down. So given this is an easy one, let me do the following. Let me, in fact, finish the potting in this video so that you can see a complete job from getting a tree, redesigning it, and potting it, and all in one video. I hope you will find this informative and click like. Why not? I appreciate it. Okay? Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna use the I put in the liner for root cutting, although it's really not necessary because the roots for California Juniper is not terribly aggressive. But nonetheless, I like to have it so I don't have to worry about changing pots ever almost with the California Juniper. And the mix that I use doesn't really deteriorate. So if I just use liquid fertilizer on a continuous basis, it should be fine for a very, very long time, maybe 10, 20 years. The tree should be fine without having to repot it and the potential risk and the hassle. So there's actually very little roots, so I can put in a lot of soil in the meantime, and then still can have room for the roots. Again, this is a very good garbage bag, disposal bag. It's a little thicker than the garbage bag. And what you do is you can dump the 3 ingredients in it, and you can just toss it. And it mixes really well. And then when you take it out, you try to break out the lumps that you couldn't quite break loose. And that's it. And it's a very, very thorough mix. It's almost a better mixing machine than anything else you can get. And it's right handy and right next to your pot, and you can put it in and you're done. So this is the pot, and I'll add in a little bit more and dig a hole for the tree, and I'm in business very quick. And then I'll sprinkle a little bit of my moss powder to have a good looking moss. And it's really that easy. And I think you will find, I started doing this year, and you will find all my bonsai will have beautiful lawns like moss in every pot when I do the garden show. So that's basically it. And I put this tree in. I think any angle will look good, but I prefer to be more upright. And so I would, and to keep this root down, this would be my angle. So what I've done is that I fill this pot with soil. My standard mix 1 part, 1 part, 1 part, topsoil, peat moss, and vermiculite, perlite. And then I'm tapping it down to hold the tree. You can see the tree is almost stable, but not quite because the roots are not established yet. And there's only very little roots at this point, but they would establish very quickly in the soil mix. And now what I'll do is I actually use a stick to hold this tree up on one hand, but more importantly is to use that to pull the trunk up. So you can see this is the tree. It accentuates this kind of a curvature. And then what I do, as Kathy Shaner did, is to pull this up. You can see the clicking. The branch is actually breaking a little bit, and that's fine because so long as the trunk is connected, it should be fine. So you can see this tree is going to be really quite spectacular with this long flowing stem. But I'm not going to do it in a hurry. I'm going to just use this stick to hold it as an anchor. And so it will hold the tree. And and then gradually pull this tree up. So that's what I'll do. So this is the video on this Kathy Shainer's California Juniper. I would say it's a good, well, 2 inches, so it's like a couple hundred years old, 250 years old. And it's got this free-flowing form, which I'll take advantage by gradually pulling this trunk up against this bamboo stick. And in the meantime, I'll just let the roots establish so I don't screw it up further. And I can see this become the tree, the top. It's a little bit like a hovering dragon with the head on top. So I need to let this grow and try to figure out how to use this. You can see it's exactly like a curling dragon soaring to the sky. So I need to make this part quite creatively. Like this could be the lakes and to emulate trees, which the Asian likes to do. But just look at the flow. It goes from the back, goes up, coming down like this, just like I take a fanciful brush stroke to make simulate a dragon design. And I gradually pull this up so that it's truly like a soaring dragon rather than a hovering tiger, I guess. And I will show you this tree, let's say 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. You'll begin to see the progress. So you can see this, the trunk going up and this going down, and so on and so forth. It will be quite a nice tree, but this is a start. And there's plenty of roots in there, so the tree would do well with my rich potting soil. They're proven to work for California Juniper. So I took the time to really anchor the tree, to pull it apart, and also to put it in this pot to reorient it. So you can see this is really simulating a broad brush, calligraphy brush. You go like this, and you just go like a flow of your stroke, and you can see the powerful lines. And this will be all filling up, and I'll do my design. So this can be named after like a soaring dragon. You can see a dragon that's soaring up with a head. So I'm really happy with this tree. So with that in mind, I thank you very much for watching. And the sun is coming out, wonderful day. And I hope to see you soon. Please click like, subscribe to our channel so we can notify you of new video. And also, please write to us about ideas that you have about trees, the topics I need to address, so that we can together create a useful information-based community. So thank you very much and see you next week.